Christians don't like to hear the rest of us tell them their special book is just like all the other so-called special books about religious beliefs. I get it. Nobody likes to be told they're wrong. However, Christians preach their own beliefs from the rooftops. Not only that, but they try to force compliance to their doctrines through the legal system and manipulation and constant persuasion. Meanwhile, they tell us who have left their religion that we ought to hush. We ought to move on quietly and keep our thinking to ourselves. Several Christians have expressed this to me. I've heard something like, just live your life then. Be an atheist or agnostic or whatever you want to be. Don't tell others about it. Don't lead them down your dark path. You don't even believe what you're saying. Anyway, you really still believe the Bible. You just want to be important. That's the gist anyway. And things like this are said to us by good people, by loving people. I truly believe that if they realized what they were doing, they wouldn't do it to us. I believe they say these things to us out of love. So, because I do think they're unaware of how horrible their behavior is, I thought I'd make a feeble attempt to get them to understand how totally unfair and wrong it is for them to tell us we ought to shut up, while at the same time they scream things like, they can try to shush me, but I'll keep telling them about my God and what He wants for them. Now, my attempt probably won't help, but here goes. Christians, assume for a moment, if you can bring yourself to do it, that those of us who disbelieve your collection of ancient, weird, and contradictory documents are right. Imagine for a few minutes that your special book is indeed just like all the others, that it's simply words written by men and which are therefore not authoritative for anyone. Yet, although your book is man-made in this scenario, think about the consequences that have arisen because you and others have believed the book was sent from a God, and it's what will judge all of us at the last day. I know you think it's a beautiful book with lovely words and that it promotes peace and joy and love and all good things. But come on now, deep down, don't you see that it doesn't? Well, let's talk about some of the ways that it doesn't. There are legion, but I'll mention only a few. Your book has caused numerous wars. I mean, you know that. We see it as I speak. It establishes and promotes slavery, and yes, the very worst kind of slavery, with one group of people encouraged and authorized to buy, sell, and bequeath human beings to their heirs. It creates rifts in families. As it says itself, it pits parents against children, children against parents. It tears families apart. It creates a hierarchy, not just among various people groups, but also between men and women. Men are given authority to be in charge of women, to make decisions for them and enforce these decisions upon threat of casting aside and shining. This, of course, is simply the tip of the iceberg with regard to the differences society, based on this book, places on women to harm them and make them less than. It harms anyone who isn't considered normal, based on antiquated thinking. Gays and trans people and others who aren't what the Bible says is the perfect way to be are criticized, forbidden the privileges other humans enjoy, and sometimes even murdered. But the book isn't from a God, remember? That's what we're assuming for this experiment. It isn't from a God, yet it promotes all kinds of wickedness and abuse. Now tell me, since the book is not from a God, should I not speak out against it because of those atrocious behaviors it promotes and even commands? Wouldn't you speak out if you saw others pushing a book you saw as unauthorized by God that was destroying our peace and harmony on the earth? Yes, of course you'd speak out. You know you would. And that's the situation from my point of view. No, it's not your point of view, but your point of view is not all that matters. And I could be right and you could be wrong. We all know that. But it doesn't really matter who's right or wrong. You don't get to be the one who makes the determination. Your thinking and your beliefs don't rule the rest of us. Our thinking is on equal footing with yours. You can cry that you're offended or even cry persecution, but you have no right to either. You didn't write those old documents. They have nothing whatsoever to do with you. Anybody who so desires can disbelieve them, ridicule them, mock them, burn them, and disobey them. And it's nothing to you. You have neither part nor lot in the matter. Ironic, isn't it? And it's not just ironic that you want to speak openly while at the same time telling the rest of us to keep our mouths shut. No, it's worse than that. It's highly narcissistic of you to think you have a right to determine truth and preach it everywhere while you deny me and others like me the same privilege. You want to lessen us. You want to push us down lower than you are. You're saying your thinking is what matters, and you ought to be able to speak it any time and even demand that others respect it and give you what you want in our society based on your thinking. You're offended that we won't do this willingly. My wants, my beliefs, my thinking don't matter to you. You get to be the boss. Yes, this is your way of thinking, and you know it. Nobody's thoughts count but yours and those who agree with you. The rest of us are supposed to shut up. In your mind, your ability to determine truth is superior to ours, and we should bow to your superior intellect and stop talking about what our intellect determines to be right and good and truthful. Well, buddy, that ain't happening. You ain't the God of us. And if you can self-reflect even just a tiny bit, you can see and understand what I'm saying. Basically say, I believe this book is from a God, and you need to believe it too, or at least not contradict me. Takes a whole lot of gall on your part. You're not content that you have the right to speak what you believe without fear of punishment. No, you want to make sure others do not have this right that you have and would even fight for. You want to silence all other voices, all other religious views, all other possibilities for truth. You want for yourself what you want to deny to others. You want to crush every voice that disagrees with you. You don't want to control just our words either. You want to control our actions. If you could, and boy, do you try, you control our thoughts. You want free will to think and act for yourself, but don't want the rest of us to have it. You're a fascist. You think you're God and all others should bow to your wishes. Because of your superior intellect, I guess. What do you have to say for yourself? Tell me. What do you have to say for yourself? I'd like to hear it. Listen, I have a mind too. It's just as good as yours. And even if it's not, I still get to think what I think and share what I think in every single way that you do. And for you to tell me that is not the case, that you should get to keep on preaching, but I should refrain from speaking? Seriously, if it weren't so ridiculous and didn't cause so much strife, it'd be laughable. Well, as you like to say, suck it up, Buttercup. Stop being a snowflake. You can accept that the rest of us are equal to you, or spend your time whining about the fact that you don't always get your way and being offended that the rest of us have the same rights that you do. I know, honey, I know it hurts. You're supposed to be special. You're the chosen ones. You get to rule. Life is just so unfair, huh? Look, I think I'm pretty easy to get along with. I tend to go with the flow most of the time. This is too important. People who've left Christianity are hurting. They need to hear from others who have also left. They need to feel heard and seen and understood. They need a community. I know you don't see the irony here, Christians. I know you don't see your narcissism. And I do forgive you because I know that you know not what you do. Thank you all. Bye.